Question: have you ever seen an organization that's both very effective and poorly led? You probably haven't, because it almost never happens. Yet, we haven't recognized its importance for the public sector, including our police.
When I found out I was getting promoted to major, I found out 8 o'clock the night before. I show up to my office, sitting in an empty room, wondering what I'm supposed to do next.
One of the great deficiencies in American policing is the training we provide, not only at the recruit level, but particularly at the mid-management level.
According to a 2020 survey, 71% of police agencies spent less than 5% of their budgets on recruit training. The numbers for district commanders in charge of hundreds of officers are even worse.
As a country, we've invested almost nothing in developing those leaders to be able to do their job fairly and effectively.
Corporations all across America and around the world spend billions of dollars to take their executives, their rising stars, they send them to the University of Chicago, they send them to Harvard, they send them to Columbia to learn more, to drive value in their organizations. Unfortunately, in the public sector, we often don't have the financing to support that. Public opinion can get in the way, politics can get in the way, which is why the investment by Ken Griffin and others in the PLA is so critically important.
What impact could we make toward improving community trust in policing and reducing violence if we trained police leaders like we trained leaders in business?
When we came to the realization that this is what was needed in American policing, it was such an aha moment for us. We couldn't believe it took us so long to realize this missed opportunity. For the last 15 years at the University of Chicago Crime Lab, we've been working on the problem of gun violence in American cities. Through that work, we've recognized the importance of improving the policing profession as well.
One of the Crime Lab's research insights was the outsized impact of police managers on reducing crime and improving community trust. This led to the creation of the Policing Leadership Academy, a world-class education in leadership and management for police commanders in the most violent districts in America.
We bring commanders from all over the country for 1 week for 5 months in a row. Every week they come in, they get more tools, they go back, and they get to implement things immediately.
The PLA focuses on district commanders, the middle managers of police departments, usually responsible for hundreds of officers, serving communities of around 100,000 people. These leaders are on the front lines of the gun violence problem in America today, and are the police chiefs of tomorrow.
We teach them about emotional intelligence. We teach them about wellness and resilience. We teach them about communication skills. And at the same time, we give them proven strategies on how to reduce gun violence in their communities and how to use data to really inform and drive their decision making.
The demands in front of these commanding officers are wide and varied. We want them to bring forward what their challenges are and apply it to the evidence-based strategies that we're talking about.
I've been very impressed with the program here, the innovativeness of the idea of not seeing anything like it. And from my own experience, it's been very rewarding to the participants.
With the support that we get from philanthropy, we're able to provide the PLA free to cities struggling with gun violence, and for police departments, we're able to help them be much more data-driven and effective to the benefit of communities across the United States.
I'm Major Jason Bennett. I'm the District Commander of Southern District, Baltimore City, and I'm a graduate of the second cohort of the Policing Leadership Academy. The Capstone Project is a culmination of the 5 weeks of training at PLA. My project's called Safe Zone 2.0.
Major Bennett's Capstone Project was an effort to reduce violent crime and gun violence by building rapport between officers and the community in his most distressed neighborhood.
A huge part of the Safe Zone Project is what we do in the communities. Boarding up abandoned homes, finding people jobs, having game nights for kids or seniors. We do this to build those relationships.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
When you have that divide between the good law-abiding citizens and the police, we don't get the help we need. So it's extremely important to build those relationships to make being a cop someone that people trust again. What we're starting to see now is people who would have never reached out to us before, reaching out to partner with us, all in an effort to make the neighborhood safer.
By directing his limited resources toward an area disproportionately impacted by violence, Major Bennett was able to drastically reduce crime in his overall district in a matter of weeks.
Using the tools I've acquired from the PLA, I've seen an 80% reduction in shootings and homicides in my most distressed neighborhood, which translated into an over 55% reduction in shootings and homicides throughout my district.
The really exceptional thing about the PLA is that with this model, we could potentially have a huge impact on homicides and shootings in the United States. Just in the first 3 cohorts of the PLA, we've served 64 localities. That represents 30% of homicides across the United States.
Because about half of all murders in America are concentrated in just 100 cities, which depend critically on around 600 commanders, the PLA can make a significant impact in reducing violence on a national scale with a relatively small investment and just a few hundred people. This is a pennies on the dollar way to get more social impact out of all the money we're already spending on policing.
This is data analysis and information, helping to equip these officers in a 21st century way. And so this kind of significant investment in management training and professional development is critically needed in one of the most important services that any government will ever provide, public safety.
Building relationships is the missing piece. We've been separated for way too long, and that separation has allowed this violence to foster. Once those relationships are rebuilt through projects like the Safe Zone, that will truly drive down the violence once and for all.